Hello guys, my name is Jay or DA and welcome back to another episode of the Space Engineer Spotlights. Yes, there have been a lot of spotlights this week. Reason why is because I am loving a lot of the stuff that is on the workshop. And be it sort of original creations that we've never seen before, there are some creators out there that go and recreate ships from films and games and everything else, and they do a really good job, and I actually enjoy doing that ever so often, just generating crafts like I have done for Star Wars, I have done for other films and whatever else, and I love to see creations done really well on the workshop. And just to let you know, this ship is completely vanilla, so you can just download the blueprint, copy and paste it into a normal game of Space Engineers without requiring any mods, which is excellent to start off. So it's already getting a 10 out of 10 in my books. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what this ship is already, this is the CR90 Corvette. Now, Organa actually had a few of these, Senator Organa from Star Wars. She had the Tantive 4 and the Sundered Heart, I believe. And essentially she used these to get around the galaxy and whatever else, to do her trade missions and everything else with, and also to do some rescue missions. So yeah, it's a really well known and well sought after ship from the Star Wars series, and I figured this is a better one that I've seen on the workshop. Why not show it to you guys, because it does look gorgeous. There is a lot of use of air vents on this, if you notice. Now they're not actually in use, but they're used in a nice way, so from a distance, you know, it gives it that extra bit of detail. It doesn't look particularly nice when you get up and close and personal, but I love the overall aesthetic of the ship because it is done really well, especially with the standard blocks that Space Engineers provides. So why did I choose this, and why is it so sought after in my heart, and why? Just why? Well, I like this craft because he's got lots of features on it, lots of scripting done on this as well, so there's a lot of screen work and stuff that you can see what the hell's going on with the craft. There's lots of little details like the turrets and whatever that have been hooked up to conveyors and everything else, so it can be sort of survival ready and whatever. And then we also have these drop pods that sit on the sides, which enable you to sort of land safely and get out of dodge, which is really cool and I like. And we are going to test them on this planet below us quite soon once we've done the interiors, and then we'll give this whole ship a fly around. So let us head on inside the craft, because you guys are like, what's going on inside, does it look really cool? The question to that is yes, it does. So if we head through these doors, which by the way have got the connectors on the outside, so you can you know, so you can connect up other things and airlock to them and whatever else, which is really cool. Now, this craft already has a really nifty feature on, which is the closing the doors behind you code, which I'm not sure what that is, but it's bloody good anyway, and I love it because it just shuts the doors just, you know, at the right amount of time, so it lets you sort of fart around and whatever else, and then go through the door and closes it without you really needing to think. Now, one of the things I do like about this craft is there has been a somewhat aging sort of added to this with the blocks and everything, making it different colours, like it's been flying around the galaxy for years and hasn't really had a clean, which is really cool. It does show through on the interior of the ship, but I'm not really bothered about that. It kind of adds to its charm, to be honest. So this is kind of like the main room. This is where you'd meet and whatever. Now, my main concern with this room is it really isn't a lot of security. Maybe even just an internal turret or an interior turret would have sort of sufficed for protection. Maybe sort of strapped it to the ceiling so it would get down here and shoot down there as well. That would have been useful, because if any sort of enemies were to board this craft, they could just walk straight through without really coming into any contact, which again isn't the best. But other than that, I like this room. It's very nice, very open spaced, and there's a lot of conveyors sort of flowing through this, and I like how he's managed to work them out so you can still walk around the craft without really needing to climb over anything. So let us head down this set of stairs, which will take us to the engineering. Now this will show the wizardry of this craft, because you probably noticed already, there's not a lot of thrusters on the outside. There are 11 hydrogen thrusters strapped to the back, but there really isn't a lot of hydrogen thrusters slapped around the outside to make it fly. And how the hell does it fly? I'm about to show you that. But we do have a beacon here which can be turned on and off depending on if the ship's in distress or not. And then we just got this nice sort of scaffolding sort of stuff generated here that just fills in the blanks a bit more, adds to the realism of the craft and whatever else. And if we open this door, we will actually head through to the engineering area now. So as you notice, we have no gravity here because gravity isn't required, and this is the wizardry of this craft. So he has managed to work out the sort of the ins and outs of where all these hydrogen thrusters can fit within this tight confined space, so they won't damage one another, which is really good. It's basically, he's taken the block damage distance, which I think is like I think it's like 3 blocks, and just worked out all these thrusters in different directions and hooked them up, so essentially this craft can move without needing any external thrust, besides the ones that you do see on the back and some on the bottom and the top, which again are for more just aesthetics and whatever else. So it is nice to see that we can actually fly this craft to some decent performance, which is absolutely brilliant. So let us head back on through this door after showing you guys the wizardry of the craft, and we'll go back through here. And I'll be honest, I haven't really seen a lot of internal thrust designs done lately, because everyone's sort of gone for external thrust only. They haven't really tried to mix it up since like block destruction and stuff, so it is nice to see that coming back a little bit now, which is good, and especially for a ship which is solely aesthetic and more for something that has to look very similar to what it would on a film or whatever. It's nice to see that that's re-emerging as a technique to build with. So let us head on through this door, which will take us into the cargo hold. Now please note that these cargo containers aren't hooked up to the system, which is a little bit of a bug for me. It's a little bit of an annoyance, because I'd like these to be hooked up so you can actually pull from one another and transfer from one another, and it just make everything easier, especially with the connectors on the outside of the ship. It would be good to have those hooked up, which again, from what I can see anyway, you would normally see the connections, but it isn't connected. So it's a little bit of an issue for me, but again, other than that, I'm happy with this area as it is. Maybe use a bit more of the space for cargo, but again, it's probably just going for looks and whatever else. So we head through this passage block. We'll actually come into like a bedroom section, which is just passage blocks turned on its side, but it does give it a nice little I don't know, a little bit of charm. We've got some nice sort of sleeping arrangements here. Now above us is actually another sleeping quarters, which I'll show you in a second. Through this door will take us through to the drop pod section, but what we'll do is we'll head upstairs first, and we'll actually come to that bit in a little bit. So let's open this door, which will blast us out with oxygen, which is a bit annoying, and this takes us through to the crew quarters. So in here we just got more, again, turned on the side passage blocks. We do have some light switches which can turn off individually two halves of this section, which is nice as well. I like light switches in ships, it just makes everything nicer, and you can turn them on and off when you want to. So if we head through to here, this will take us through to what I'm calling the drop pod rack. So this is where you would run down to here and jump into a drop pod and fly off. Now I like the way that this is done, because you can get in from the bottom deck, you can get in from the top deck, you can continue forward to the top deck, and you can also get in from the very end, from the bridge and the storage area, which is really good, because things like this really do need to be accessed from everywhere. Because what if you're down there, there isn't a door down there, so you've got to come running all the way up above us, down, and then down to here. What if that were to occur? Then that's very unsafe, to be honest, and that's not the best system to be sort of putting in place. So I like how all this is sort of centralised to the main ship. It is really well done. So so let's head on through to the main hallway. Now the main hallway has quite a few things in. What we do have is we have some cryopods, and we have this random room that takes us into like an oxygen vent, which is a bit weird. I'm not sure what that is for. It's a little bit strange. If you guys know what that is, just drop me a comment. And then we head forward. We have two rooms left and right. We have one room here which just boosted me out, I don't know why. And what this room is it's a sort of the meeting room or whatever, so you could talk about things that you're going to need to do soon or whatever. And then we also have the pods, which look really cool, and they do have a nice mix of ion, as well as there is like a bottom section to them that does have atmospheric, so they will fly both space and you know, and atmospheric, which is good. On the other side, we have another room that boosts me out of the way. We have a cryopod, a med station with some sort of seat here, so you can sort of plonk your arse, get yourself healed up, and get back out into duty. And we'll open this door and carry on through. We have some controls, which just turn things on and off. So we again light switches and whatever. Now, if we head through this door, this will take us to just like a sort of a random section, which does have some more cargo, which is hooked up to the system, which is great. We have some sort of on display oxygen tanks here, and then we also have another door, or two doors, for the escape pods, which is again really nice layout there. I really do like that. And then we'll head through to the bridge. The bridge is quite cool because the way it's laid out is really nice, and there's lots of blinking things and stuff, and it just looks busy. And I don't know, I would enjoy flying this, and it'd just be very pleasurable to drive. I can imagine, because it's just very open, I think, and I like open sort of places and spaces on sort of bridges, because they're like one of the main hubs of the ship, and this is where everyone would be, so it's great to have a bit of space so you can walk around freely and whatever. So down on the bottom sort of section, we have lots of programmable blocks which are running some code which run all the screens at the top, as well as the code for the doors, which I do believe just looks at any door that's open and closes it after a few seconds, which is great. And then what we do have is we have some seats, so you could look or pretend to be looking at your programmable block or whatever, and look like you're being look busy, basically. We then have another sort of actual proper cockpit sort of thing, which doesn't have any buttons on, but I would imagine you could put whatever you want onto that one. So if you did have a secondary pilot or a co-pilot or an operations guy, he could be looking at all that and pressing the right buttons at the right time to save you a job. We do have a list of all the jump drives here, which is pretty bonkers, I'll be honest. There's a lot of jump drives here, but that means that this ship can travel pretty damn far in pretty short spaces of time, which is good. Then we have this screen that just shows you your reactors, battery, the stored, the output, the input, and the total output, which is great. So it's good little bits of information. We have some more buttons which just show you, well, you can toggle things on and off, which I believe you can do in this seat anyway. And then we're in the main sort of cockpit, which is, as you would expect, at the front, right at the front. We've got double layer of glass, which is nice, a bit more protection from any damage, and yeah, it's just nice to have that double layer of glass. Just sort of, I don't know, calms me down a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to push into the gravity field of, in fact I don't think we need to. No, we don't need to push into the gravity field of that. What we can do is we can go and jump in one of these escape pods and go and try one out and see what happens, because I haven't actually tried these out yet. I've been walking around the ship and looking at all the little bits and bobs, but I haven't actually looked at these drop pods and how they work. So we can walk out onto the drop pod rack. We have a gyroscope here, which is for our control, obviously. We then have a nice window, so we can see where the hell we're going to land, which is good. And then we have, by the looks of it, we only have ion thrust in one direction, so you'd have to sort of manipulate yourself to control in whatever direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these on. We can turn the beacon on if we really want to. We can turn that ion thruster on if we want to, which we are, and then we can disengage. So we're going to hit 5, which will disengage us and of course throw us off in a random direction. As you can see, we are building up a lot of speed in one direction. I think it has okay, I think it's got like an override turned on, so we've actually been picked up in the gravity well of this this planet now, which is brill. I'm going to turn the inertia dampers off so we do move a little bit faster, and yeah, I'm going to actually jump out of this and let it carry on its way. I'm just going to leave that to go because it's not really important, really. As long as you can have control over them, that's all that really matters. And they seem pretty controllable, to be fair. That's just a simple drop pod design, I think, so it's not really, again, anything too major and too critical. As you could probably imagine, having this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, having these 11 hydrogen thrusters on the back does really give you some oomph. And they do. They do. They really, really do give you some oomph. And as you can see, we're already up to full speed, which is quite insane. We are picking up speed quite nicely. But what we're going to do is I'm actually going to do a bit, I'm going to actually just let this fly on its own now, and sort of time lapse it a little bit so you guys, I'll sort of rendezvous you guys when we're actually going to land on the planet. Okay, so we are like 1,300 meters away from sort of the floor of the planet now, which isn't that high anymore. So we're sort of going to try and reorientate ourselves, which is very, very easy to do. Now, note the antenna, the spinning sort of dish, has stopped because of the automatic sort of safety lock that rotors have, which is great. So that means they ain't going to break anytime soon, which is good. But we are coming up to a couple of thousand meters now, which means we're going to have to start thinking about our descent and where we're going to sort of try and drop this down. Because of course we don't want a repeat of last time where we crashed in a massive mess on the floor, do we? Because that wasn't the best last time with one of the other crafts that I looked at. But as you can see, this thing does have an absolute ton of gyroscopes on, so we can tilt this thing really nicely, which is good. And also looking at the buttons that we have here, we just have we're able to turn on all the weapons and turn them off. We also have all the batteries that we can turn on and off. It doesn't have any sort of solar panels obviously, but those can be recharged from the reactors. So that means it's got, you know, so it has got some sufficient power supplies, which is great. So about 6,000 meters out now, so we're just gonna start to bring it down a bit. I've turned my inertia dampeners off, so I have full control of the craft now rather than just drifting like we did before. So trying to push us in a direction now just to try and bring us in on a nice sort of sweeping sort of angle. And turn them off again for a little second so we can drop a bit quicker. And we're actually going to test out that propellant at the back, that big chunk of hydrogen thrust that we do have that's hidden away, and see how well this thing stops. Because of course stopping is a big thing, because if you are coming too fast to a planet, you're going to need to stop. You're going to need to really be able to put on the brakes. Let's see what this thing does. So if we just we're about we get to about 2,500 and we'll slam them on. So actually no, we'll bring it down a little lower, maybe 1,500. I don't know if 1,500 is a bit too reckless or not, but we'll be pretty close to the floor then, so it'll sort of scare us a little bit more. And there's that 1,500 mark, and that ain't too bad. We're still at 70, 80, 50. It's slowing down better than any other big ship I've sort of tested in this sort of scenario, because other ones tend to have drifted, but whether that was a bug in Space Engineers or not, I'm not sure. So yeah, that's reacted really well actually. And yeah, we're actually on the planet now, which is brill. And yeah, so it works, it flies, and it doesn't blow up in a massive mess, which is just perfect. If you guys have enjoyed this build, don't forget to go and check it out on the workshop, because it's a really, really sweet build, and if you want something really cool to fly around in survival, I would recommend this. And yeah, links in the description, go and check it out. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, you know where the button is. If you have any other questions, anything else you want me to check out, drop me a comment, private message me, or email me, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!